Have you ever stopped to ask yourself, is my money really safe in the bank? Most of us grow up believing the bank is the safest place for our savings. But let me tell you something that might shock you. In today's world, your bank account could be one of the riskiest places to store your wealth. Think about what we've seen in just the last few years. Entire banks collapsing in a matter of hours. People waking up and realizing they couldn't access their own money. And even when the system looks stable on the surface, there's another invisible threat eating away at your savings every single day: inflation. While you sleep soundly thinking your cash is safe, the truth is, every year your money buys you less and less. Parking your wealth in a traditional savings account is like leaving ice cubes out on a hot day. Slowly but surely, they melt away. Now here's the scary part. The system is designed to make you feel secure while quietly eroding the value of your hard work. Low interest rates, rising prices, political decisions, and global crises, all of these factors chip away at your financial future. And the bank? They're not here to make you wealthy. They're here to make themselves wealthy by using your money. So if keeping all your cash in the bank isn't the answer, what is? In this video, I'm going to reveal 7 assets that are safer, smarter, and more powerful than just leaving your money sitting in a bank. We're not talking about reckless speculation or get-rich-quick schemes. These are practical, proven assets that can protect you from inflation, generate passive income, and most importantly, give you control over your financial destiny. And here's the twist: these assets are not all the same. Some of them are traditional and rock solid. Others might seem unconventional at first, but they are the very tools that wealthy people use quietly, behind the scenes, to grow their fortunes while the rest of the world stays stuck. I've also arranged them in a very specific order. We'll start with the single most powerful asset that can completely change your life, and we'll finish with one that's controversial, misunderstood, and yet has outperformed everything else over the last decade. So grab a notebook, pay close attention, and watch until the very end. Because if you stick with me, by the time you finish this video, you'll never look at money the same way again. Are you ready? Let's get started. If I could only choose one asset, just one, that has the power to completely transform your financial future, it would be this: your own business. Now, before you click away thinking, I don't have millions to start a company, let me tell you a secret. Most of the world's most successful entrepreneurs started small. A single skill, a single product, sometimes even a single laptop on a kitchen table. They didn't wait for permission. They built something of their own, and that changed everything. Why is a business so powerful? Because unlike money sitting in a bank, a business generates cash flow. When you own a business, even a small one, you're no longer at the mercy of interest rates or government policy. You're no longer waiting for someone else to give you a raise. Instead, you create your own opportunities. Think about this. Banks pay you 1% or 2% interest on your savings. If you're lucky, maybe 4%. Meanwhile, a small, well-run business can return 20%, 50%, even 100% in a single month, and you control it. That level of leverage simply doesn't exist when your money is parked in a savings account. And here's the thing: your business doesn't have to be complicated. It could be digital, like selling an online course, writing an e-book, starting a YouTube channel, or building an e-commerce store on Shopify. It could be local, like a small coffee shop, a car wash, or a bakery. The size doesn't matter. What matters is that you own the system that makes money while you sleep. There are also massive long-term benefits. A business can grow in value over time, just like a piece of real estate. It gives you tax advantages that employees don't have. And most importantly, it gives you control. Imagine this: while others worry about layoffs or inflation, you're building something that becomes stronger every single year. That is the ultimate hedge against uncertainty. Do you know how Amazon started? Jeff Bezos selling books from his garage. How did Spanx start? Sarah Blakely with $5,000 and an idea to solve a problem women faced every day. These weren't billion-dollar companies on day one. They were tiny seeds planted by people who understood one truth. The safest place to put your time and energy is into an asset you own. So, if you want to protect your wealth and grow it at the same time, consider this. Your business isn't just an asset. It's your greatest engine of freedom. And in today's world, freedom is priceless. If owning your own business is like planting a seed that grows into a tree, then real estate is like owning the ground that tree stands on. Real estate is one of the oldest, most proven ways to build and protect wealth, and for a good reason. Unlike digital money on a screen, real estate is tangible. You can touch it, walk through it, and live in it. It's not just numbers, it's a physical asset that people will always need. That alone makes it powerful, because while paper money loses value to inflation, a well-chosen property often moves in the opposite direction. It gains value over time. Think about the last few years. Even after slowdowns and temporary dips, look at the big picture. Urban properties in cities like Austin, Nashville, and Raleigh have increased more than 40% in just 3 years. That's not luck. That's the long-term power of holding real estate. But here's the real beauty of real estate. It doesn't just sit there and wait to appreciate. While you own it, it can generate passive income. A rental property is like a machine that keeps sending you money every month, whether you're awake, asleep, on vacation, or even building other assets. This combination of appreciation and cash flow is why so many wealthy people consider real estate a cornerstone of their portfolios. And the benefits don't stop there. Real estate acts as a hedge against inflation. When prices go up, so do rents and property values. Instead of losing buying power like you do with cash in a bank, your property often keeps pace or even outruns inflation. Now, I know what you might be thinking. But I don't have enough cash for a big down payment. That's where something called a REIT, Real Estate Investment Trust, comes in. A REIT allows you to invest in real estate through the stock market with much smaller amounts of capital. You get exposure to commercial buildings, apartments, logistics warehouses, even data centers, and you earn a share of the income they generate. Of course, no asset is perfect. Real estate comes with its own challenges. Maintenance costs, property taxes, and vacancies are realities you have to plan for. But over decades, time has shown that location and patience can turn a simple property into a wealth-building powerhouse. Imagine 20 years from now, instead of regretting that your money sat in a savings account earning a tiny interest rate, you could own something that has grown in value, produced income, and given you a sense of security no bank account can offer. That's the strength of real estate. And if you combine it with the first asset, a business, you're already building a foundation that's very hard to shake. If real estate is the ground beneath your feet, then gold is the anchor that has stood the test of time for thousands of years. Long before there were banks, credit cards, or even why has gold been so valuable for so long? Because it represents trust. When everything else fails, currencies collapse, governments fall, markets panic, gold remains. It is the original store of value, recognized everywhere, by everyone. Think about history for a moment. Empires rose and fell. Whole nations changed borders. Currencies were replaced, but a single ounce of gold has been valuable for centuries. If you had to choose one physical object to protect your purchasing power through chaos, it would be gold. And this isn't just history, it's happening right now. In 2025 alone, gold prices have crossed $3,000 per ounce, hitting all-time highs. Why? Because uncertainty is everywhere. Inflation, wars, political instability. When people lose trust in paper money, they turn to gold. Gold has a unique property. It's scarce. Governments can print as much money as they want, but they can't print gold. It has to be mined, refined, and stored. That's why central banks around the world, from the United States to China, quietly buy and hold massive reserves of gold. If even they see the need for gold, shouldn't you? Now, does gold make you rich quickly? That's not its purpose. Gold is not an income-generating asset. It doesn't pay you dividends or interest, but that's not why you own it. You own gold for security, to balance risk in your portfolio and give you something that cannot be erased with a single financial crisis. There are two main ways to own gold: physical gold, coins, bars, or bullion. You can buy from reputable dealers like APMEX or JM Bullion, gold-backed ETFs. If you prefer convenience, funds like GLD allow you to own gold without worrying about storage. And here's a little-known fact. Gold often moves opposite the stock market. When markets crash and panic sets in, gold tends to rise. That's why it's like insurance for your wealth. Charlie Munger, Warren Buffett's longtime partner, once said that for a Jewish family in Vienna in 1939, sewing gold into their clothing could mean survival. Gold isn't just an investment, it's a lifeline in extreme times. So while you build wealth through your business and grow it through real estate, a portion of your portfolio in gold gives you resilience. Let's shift gears for a moment. Not everyone wants to take big risks or build empires. Some people simply want a place where their money can grow safely, without the drama of stock market crashes or real estate headaches. That's where government bonds, also known as treasury bonds, come in. Think of a bond as a contract. You lend money to the government, and in exchange, they agree to pay you interest over a fixed period and give you your money back at the end. It's simple, predictable, and for decades has been considered one of the safest ways to preserve wealth. So why are government bonds so important, especially in uncertain times? First, they're safe. U.S. Treasury bonds are backed by the full faith and credit of the United States government. Unless the entire U.S. government collapses, you'll get your money back. That's why, whenever there's panic in the markets, investors around the world rush to buy treasuries. They are widely seen as a safe haven. Second, they offer better returns than cash. While most banks today pay close to zero interest on savings accounts, U.S. Treasury bonds currently pay around 4% a year, sometimes more depending on the term. That's 4 times better than leaving your money idle in a bank account. Third, they help balance your portfolio. During a financial crisis, stocks and other risky assets can lose value. Bonds often move in the opposite direction because nervous investors buy them. So while everyone else is losing sleep, the bond portion of your wealth acts like a cushion. Now, here's how you can start. You don't need to be a millionaire to buy bonds. Platforms like treasurydirect.gov let you purchase them directly from the US government with as little as $100. Or, if you prefer simplicity, brokers like Fidelity, Vanguard, or Schwab will help you buy and manage them for you. Of course, bonds have their limits. They're not designed to make you rich overnight. They're slow, steady, and reliable. If you need to cash out early, the price can fluctuate a bit with interest rates, so it's best to hold them until they mature. Think of them as the safe, solid foundation of your financial house. Not the part that grows fastest, but the part that keeps everything else standing. In a world full of uncertainty, there's something comforting about having a portion of your money in an asset that doesn't depend on Wall Street drama. It's quiet wealth protection. Now, let's talk about the asset class that sparks more debate than almost anything else in finance: cryptocurrencies. For some people, crypto feels like the Wild West, a world full of speculation, scams, and extreme volatility. And while there's truth to the fact that crypto can be risky, it's also true that it has outperformed nearly every other asset class in the last decade. So why is cryptocurrency and especially Bitcoin on this list? Because crypto is not just internet money, it's a new, decentralized financial system that does not rely on governments or banks. No central bank can print more Bitcoin, and no single country controls it. That makes it a unique hedge against the very system that devalues your cash in the first place. Let's put this in perspective. If you had invested just $100 in Bitcoin back in 2010, you'd be sitting on millions today. Of course, past performance does not guarantee the future, but these numbers show the kind of explosive growth that comes from an asset built on scarcity. There will only ever be 21 million Bitcoins. Ever. Now, I want to be clear, crypto is not without risks. It's volatile. Prices can swing wildly in a single day. That's why most experts recommend starting small. Think of it as a small percentage of your overall wealth, not your entire portfolio. The key is to treat crypto as a long-term, high-potential asset, not a lottery ticket. The benefits of crypto are hard to ignore. Accessibility. You can buy as little as $1 worth of Bitcoin using platforms like Coinbase, Binance, or Cash App. Liquidity. Crypto markets are open 24/7, and you can send money across borders instantly without waiting for banks. Scarcity. Unlike dollars, euros, or any other fiat currency, there is a hard limit to how many Bitcoins will ever exist. And here's something else to think about. Major institutions and even governments are taking crypto seriously. BlackRock, the world's largest asset manager, now offers a Bitcoin ETF. El Salvador has made Bitcoin legal tender. Companies like Tesla and MicroStrategy have added Bitcoin to their balance sheets. These aren't fringe players anymore. This is mainstream. So where does crypto fit into your strategy? It's not about gambling. It's about hedging your bets in a world where traditional financial systems are increasingly unstable. Even a small allocation can give you exposure to the potential upside while limiting your risk. After talking about digital currencies and the future of money, this next asset might surprise you because it's as old-fashioned as it gets: physical cash. In a world where everything is digital banking, digital wallets, even cryptocurrencies, why would you still keep paper money around? The answer is simple. When systems fail, cash doesn't. We've all gotten used to tapping a phone or swiping a card and assuming it will work. But history shows us that banking systems can freeze, ATMs can run out of cash, and digital payment networks can go offline when you least expect it. Think about Greece in 2015, Lebanon in 2019, or even the United States during the collapse of Silicon Valley Bank in 2023. Overnight, people couldn't access their own money. Their accounts were there on a screen, but the system simply wouldn't let them use it. That's when physical cash becomes priceless. Imagine being on a long road trip and the card machines at a gas station are down. Or a major blackout shuts down ATMs and point-of-sale systems for a few days. Having even a small reserve of cash can be the difference between calm and chaos. Financial experts like Suze Orman recommend keeping enough physical cash at home to cover at least 1 to 2 months of essential expenses, typically somewhere between $1,000 and $2,000. This isn't money you invest or use for day-to-day spending. Think of it as emergency fuel, only to be used when digital systems fail. And storing cash strategically isn't about being paranoid. It's about being prepared. Emergencies don't send you a calendar invite. Whether it's a natural disaster, a bank run, or a cyber attack that freezes payment networks, those pieces of paper can give you instant independence when the rest of the world is stuck waiting for the system to come back online. Of course, physical cash has its limitations. Inflation slowly eats away at its value. It doesn't earn interest. It doesn't grow. That's why it should be just a small percentage of your wealth, held purely for flexibility in extreme situations, not as a long-term investment. Here's a simple way to think about it. Cryptocurrency gives you freedom in a borderless digital world. Cash gives you freedom in a world where technology fails. Both serve a similar purpose, freedom and access, but they work in completely different scenarios. That's why it's smart to have a bit of both. When everyone else is panicking, looking at long lines at the ATM, or trying to transfer money that won't go through, you'll be the one quietly taking care of your family's needs. Now, let's talk about an asset class that might surprise you: collectibles and luxury items. Unlike stocks, bonds, or real estate, these assets often sit in plain sight. A watch on someone's wrist, a classic car in a garage, a rare painting hanging on a wall, or even a toy sealed in its original box. And yet, for people who know how to play the game, these objects can become extraordinary stores of value. Why are collectibles so powerful? Because they combine scarcity, desirability, and culture. The value of a Rolex Daytona, a 1960s Ferrari, or a painting by Banksy isn't just in the materials. It's in the story and the demand. When something is limited, beautiful, and carries status, there's always someone willing to pay more for it tomorrow than you paid today. Consider this. A Rolex Daytona Paul Newman watch bought for $200 in the 1970s, sold at auction for over $17 million. A Ferrari 250 GTO, once a race car, is now worth over $70 million. Even a rare Lego set, bought for a few $100s, has appreciated more than 300% over the past decade. These are not ordinary results. They come from understanding that exclusivity drives value. The rarer the item, the more intense the competition to own it. And here's the exciting part. You don't need to be a billionaire to start. Thanks to platforms like Rally and Masterworks, ordinary investors can now buy fractional shares of fine art, vintage cars, and rare collectibles. This opens the door to a market that used to be reserved only for the ultra-wealthy. Of course, this asset class comes with its own rules. It requires patience. Collectibles often take years to appreciate. It requires knowledge. You need to understand what you're buying and why people value it. And it has lower liquidity. Unlike stocks, you can't sell a painting or a vintage watch instantly. But for people who take the time to learn, these assets can be a fascinating mix of passion and profit. They can also act as a hedge against financial markets because a rare car or a one-of-a-kind artwork doesn't depend on the stock market's mood. Think about it. While money in a bank loses value each year, someone somewhere is holding an old comic book, a vintage guitar, or a piece of art that is quietly becoming more valuable by the day. So if you have a passion, watches, art, cars, sneakers, this might be an area to explore. The key is to collect what you love and love what you collect. So, let's take a step back. You've just learned about 7 powerful assets that can protect your wealth, grow it, and give you freedom in a world that's changing faster than ever. Think about what we covered today. Your own business that generates cash flow, real estate that builds value while you sleep, government bonds for safety, gold as timeless insurance, cryptocurrencies for the digital age, physical cash for emergencies, and collectibles that turn passion into profit. Each of these plays a different role, but together they form a strong shield around your financial future. Here's the truth. Leaving all your money in the bank is no longer a safe strategy. If you want real security, you have to take control and diversify. Now it's your turn. Which of these assets will you start focusing on first? Comment below. I read every single one. And if you found this video valuable, hit the like button, share it with someone you care about, and subscribe so you don't miss what's coming next. Your financial freedom is waiting. The only question is, what step will you take today?